So let's look at the difference between a gerund and an infinitive. So we have two different types of formations that we can use, structures that we can use in our grammar with some other verbs. Now, it's important to learn about gerunds. I think in the past 2 weeks, I've had about 6 students send me messages and ask me, how do I use a gerund? Or is this the correct way to use a gerund? Or what is a gerund? So let me explain first what a gerund is. A gerund is a noun, first and foremost. So that's a noun, but it looks like a verb. So you're reading a sentence and you're looking at it and you're thinking, is that a verb or is that a noun? What is that? So if you start to ask, what is that? Maybe it's a gerund, especially if it has the ing. So we make a gerund by adding the ing to a verb, okay? That's the second thing to think about. Now, the third thing to think about with gerunds is, can I replace the gerund, the ing, with the word it? Which makes it a noun or the subject of a sentence quite often. So think about these 3 things for gerunds. So it's a noun, it looks like a verb, it can be replaced with the word it, and it's definitely got an ing form. So let's see our examples here. We have run. I run slowly. Run is my verb. So it's the action of the sentence. I might replace it with go, right? I go slowly, or I move slowly. Here, I have a gerund, okay? Running slowly is good for you. So running slowly can be replaced with it. It, right? It is good for you. So I've got my ing, I've got a noun, I've got it. Check. This is a gerund. This is a gerund phrase. Okay, next example with eat. We know eat is usually a verb, okay? He usually eats fast food. I've got my S there because of he eats, and I've got my adverb right in front of it, which we're learning in this module, and then I've got my verb, which I can replace with other verbs. I could say, he usually has fast food, or he usually buys fast food, all of which are actions, yes? So if I take this word eats, all right, I add an ing, I move it to the front of the sentence to make it the subject, and I look at the concept, can I make it it, right? Can I replace eating fast food with it? It is bad for you. Eating fast food is bad for you? Well, it is bad for you. Obviously, that's a gerund then, okay? Dropping my pen was a mistake. Dropping, right? Drop. Okay, so let's look at infinitives now. And the infinitive form is a verb, okay? It stays a verb. It becomes more of a verb when we add to, okay? So it's to plus the first form. The first form is the word that you're going to find in the dictionary. So if you're reading through your dictionary looking for verbs, it's the first form in there. After that, you'll see like the participle form and the past participle form. You might see the ing forms, prefixes and suffixes, etc., etc. But the first one you see in the dictionary is the first form. Okay, that's the original form or the infinitive form of the word. So some examples: to go, to eat, to have, to make. Now, can I replace a verb with another verb? Of course, right? We often can replace one verb with another verb. So to go. I like to go to the beach. I like to travel to the beach. I like to drive to the beach. So often we can replace the to and a verb with another verb, right? To make. I like to make dinner. I like to cook dinner. I like to create dinner. Anything that we can use with a verb and another verb with that to, we've got an infinitive, okay? Now, one of the most important things that I have to teach students and reteach students, and this is because it's a very common mistake, is that students usually mix the gerund and infinitive. So this is very important. Please remember this. Use a gerund or an infinitive. Don't use them both, okay? So don't mix them together. I often hear students saying, I like to going. I like to making. He loves to having. So this would be incorrect because you're mixing the infinitive with the gerund. And we don't want these mixed up, okay? There are some special phrases. They're known as set expression or fixed expression. You will learn those with me in the upper intermediate level when we go over more formal styles like formal writing for letters or emails. But for now, just remember, don't mix, okay? Don't mix gerunds and infinitives because that would be like, you know, mixing lemons with milk. It's not going to taste very good. It's going to be like mixing sand with oil. It's just going to mess everything up. So don't mix them up, all right? So now let's go ahead and look at a lot more examples. I'll try to write some bad examples on the board, meaning that they have mistakes in them, and I'll write some that are correct. So before I forget, there are a few words I want to cover today before we look at the common mistakes. Now, some of these words can be used with both, others only one or the other, a gerund or an infinitive. So let's go ahead and look at our first examples. Here we have like. You can use like with both a gerund and an infinitive. I have two examples. He likes to eat onions, or he likes eating onions. So one or the other. Remember, don't mix them, okay? Both. For love, right? Love, I can use in a gerund and an infinitive. She loves to take selfies, or she loves taking selfies. One or the other. This one here, want, we always use with the infinitive. I want to visit, right? I want to visit Japan. If you're from Japan and you're watching this, invite me over sometime, right? Maybe someday I'll afford a plane ticket. Enjoy. Enjoy we use with gerunds. So we enjoy traveling by train. We enjoy it, correct? So we enjoy it. So over here, dislike with a gerund. So my students dislike doing their homework. They dislike it. Hate. We use hate with both, so I can say they hate to drive in the snow, or I can say they hate driving in the snow. Both of those are possible to use here. Need. Need, generally, for what we're learning now, is infinitives, but it can be used with both. Later on, when we use some passive structures in the intermediate level, we'll learn about how to use need with the gerund form. But for right now, we're just going to use need with the infinitive form. You need to wash your clothes, okay? So just memorize these. You're going to have to write them down in your notebook, and you're going to have to practice using the homework that I provide for you. As always, I provide homework, right? And it'll help you remember which ones to use. It'll build your skills here with your memory. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at some of the mistakes that people commonly make. So I'm going to write a bunch of stuff on the board, and you're going to have to decide if it's correct or not, okay? Okay, so let's look at some examples of possibly some sentences that have mistakes. So I'll read through them and give you a few minutes to read them again, and you can decide, is it correct or is it incorrect, okay? So let's take a look at what we've got here. She liked to do her shopping at the weekend. What do you think? Is number one correct or incorrect? They don't go usually to the beach in July. Number 2, is it correct or incorrect? It's up to you to decide on each of these. I will make sure to tell you the correct answer in a few minutes. I sometimes like to going to the late movie. Number 3, correct or incorrect? By the way, if I read these correctly and you hear it, good for you. Otherwise, I'm just going to read through them. He hates studying chemistry at school. Correct or incorrect? What do you think about number 4? Make sure you make a mark on that one. We enjoy to drink tea at the afternoon. Okay, number 5. Is it correct or incorrect? Number 6 here. Number 6. My friends often want to spend money on new clothes. What do you think? Is this one grammatically correct or is it incorrect? Number 7. And the last one. They love to always cooking for their grandchildren. And it's incorrect if I don't put a period at the very end of it, so I have to put that down there. So I want you to, in the comments below, you can write 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and you can do 2 things. You can do 2 things. You can either put correct or incorrect on them, and just put that on there. Or if you want to do more studying here, you can rewrite the incorrect sentences, and you can write them correctly in the comments below. If there's only one you're having a question about, you can always just put in there like, this is the one I don't know. The rest are obvious. So you can do that as well. So that's the end of the lesson for today. Feel free to pause and go back and do these if you want. You can rewrite those and put it in the comments. Please stop by our Facebook page and grab some homework from us. It's free homework, free study materials, and we have a classroom community there where students interact from all over the world asking questions, and I try to moderate and make sure everybody kind of continues this learning. So I hope to see you back next week for the next lesson for Module 10. We're going to look at present continuous. There will be a link for that right after this. And I hope you enjoyed today's lesson. Give me a like if you did, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye, okay?